The socialist surge, let's check it out. Welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. Last night, Democrats decided to send yet another socialist to Congress. Yes, one more added to the pile. Unemployed Ethiopian Melat Kairos winning with anti-Western, anti-American, anti-Israel messaging that sounded so good in a Democrat primary in Denver, Colorado. So now we're no longer in, the coastal blue crazy places. We're in Colorado now. We've seen a lot of this happening in these safe blue districts, though, where the primary really is the election. The most radical lunatic wins in a low turnout primary, where the most radical lunatic voters are the only ones that are motivated enough to show up. This is what AOC did. She started this trend, and this is how the socialists have created a coalition knocking off lazy establishment Democrats. Look at all the names on that list, all the places that this AOC tactic has worked. And now a 29-year-old fired attorney turned barista is heading to Congress with absolutely no life experience, totally untethered from reality, just a 110-pound communist full of rage who needs a lot of attention.
We will not wait to end the genocide in Palestine.
So much rage. Again, these people come here from third world countries. They come here to be rescued from these places, and then they come here and they want to just radically change them and tell us how much they hate the country that saved them. We have another Ilhan Omar, another Rashida Tlaib. So many of them in Congress now. This will be the next. So much fury, and we have our latest actress also heading to Congress, because that's what they all are, right? They're just bad actresses. Beta liberal Democrat voters, though, overdose on a speech like that. Hold on a second. She's a minority woman. She's a communist. She doesn't have a job. She hates the country, and I can't even pronounce her name. How do I vote twice for her? That's how they think. Melat Kairos was another useless attorney here in New York. We have them everywhere in this city. She lost her job after writing a letter excoriating her firm for having the audacity to support Israel after the October 7th attacks when she was about 25 years old. So if you couldn't already tell from listening to her talk, she is just as awful as she sounds. A tried and true terror apologist. Here she is talking about 9/11.
You believe that the 9/11 terrorist attacks on America were the inevitable consequence of American foreign policy?
Inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East, that forced people to believe that another act of violence was the only response. And again, just like I said before, our responsibility is to getting rid of those conditions that lead to violence in the first place.
By the way, that was her softening her tone from what she initially said. That was her, I better back off here a little bit. That's not even close to what she really thinks. A lot of Americans think that we had no business dabbling in the Middle East for all those years. But that opinion that so many of us do hold is a far cry from what she claims and what she really believes, which is that we were the bad guys, that we hurt the Middle East with bad intentions. The intention was to free a burdened people from tyranny and turn countries in the Middle East Western-facing, attempting to give people freedom and democracy, things like that, which, again, you might think is none of our business, and you're probably right. But that didn't mean we deserved 9/11, but that's what it means in her mind, because we messed with her buddies. She's Ethiopian. These are not Americans. We will soon have some very dangerous people entering Congress. The squad is expanding rapidly and getting more powerful. A collection now of young, privileged communists who've never even worked. They've laid around absorbing anti-American propaganda, and then they ran for office, probably with their parents' money. the opposite of the founders' intentions when they started this country. Politics was never supposed to be a career. You were supposed to go out there and build something in this wonderful, free, capitalist nation. And then when you got into your golden years, when your business was set, when you had enough cash, you'd go into politics and try to help guide the future. It's not supposed to be a career, especially for people like this. But now these arrogant, rich kids, these arrogant, rich communists foolishly think that they can run this entire country. Like Zoran Mamdani, bragging, delusional this week, claiming that he has already managed to fix all the problems of this capitalist system in New York.
We raise taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers instead of taking more from those with the least. Throughout this process, I've been reminded of the words of the Austrian economist Friedrich Hayek. If socialists understood economics, they wouldn't be socialists. If these past months have shown us anything, it is that socialists not only understand economics just as well as the capitalists who came before, but that we can solve their years of mismanagement through an embrace of our principles.
It's hard to overstate how ridiculous that news conference from Mamdani was. First off, he's been here about 10 minutes. He hasn't fixed anything. An arrogant little liar with that fake smile again. The budget that he's talking about was passed using smoke and mirrors, a massive loan from the state of New York to New York City to cover his nonsense. Billions of dollars that he doesn't have, that the city doesn't have. The state's going to pay for the mayor's ridiculous agenda. That's going to be a one-time favor. What happens next year? Oh, you'll see. Also, they deferred the payments to New York's pension debt by 5 years as well. So basically, Mamdani's budget will be paid for by the entire state and also by not paying the bills and adding debt on the back end. Let's see how that all looks in 5-10 years from now. And then he gets on stage and claims that he has solved all the mismanagement of capitalism, as if he's fixed the entire city. These people are terrible, and we're letting them run the country? As again, he continues to worsen the capital flight, which you're going to be seeing all over the country very soon. Is going to be leaving. People are going to be leaving from every place that is blue and moving to every place that is red. You're going to see capital flight. It's not just going to be a New York, LA thing. It's going to be all over as this gets worse and worse and worse, as candidates like these start getting footholds into these major American blue cities. Worsening the capital flight, digging an even bigger hole for our future is what Mamdani's actually doing in New York, while claiming he's fixing everything. We're allowing some of the stupidest people in our society to run our society, and their coalition is strengthening. Ben Ferguson, the host of the Ben Ferguson Show, joins us now. Jimmy Sengenberger is an investigative columnist for the Denver Gazette. So we're going to talk about this new unemployed Ethiopian that's going to Congress. Good to have you guys. Ben, I want to start with you. We've got this army of young, dumb communists that have broken out of these woke schools and are taking over.
Yeah, no, at first it was almost humorous because you're like, good, the Democrats are finally admitting what they're actually in favor of. I was okay with AOC early on because I'm like, she is saying what other Democrats in the leadership are refusing to take the risk to say. Now the problem is you have a whole bunch of other people like, hey, I want to be AOC. I want to be a Marxist, a socialist, a communist. I want to steal from hardworking Americans, and I want to take it from them, and I want to give it to whoever I want to give it to on a political ideology standpoint. And what you're seeing from Mamdani is he's actually giving a roadmap for these other Marxists and socialists, which really had capped out kind of in like tenured higher education positions where they could indoctrinate people at Harvard and Yale and Princeton, MIT, and, you know, all of the Columbia University. And they really were owning our universities. But now what they're doing is they're actually destroying this country from within. And so I think we have to look at this a little bit differently now moving forward in 2026. Yeah. This is a threat to democracy. It is a threat to this country. It is a threat to our way of life. And how did they get here? It's a side part of this, but it's important. By sending millions of illegal immigrants from countries that were used to communism, they were used to socialism, they were used to Marxism, and they would vote for it when they got to America. That's why they brought them all here and opened our borders.
It makes perfect sense. You know, Jimmy, it's amazing how vile some of these people are as well. Like this one that you now have in Colorado, who's I'm sure going to skate right to victory in the general election. Last June, there was a firebombing attack at a Jewish rally in Boulder, Colorado. So it was like an post-October 7th kind of a rally. You had this Islamist right here tossing Molotov cocktails at the crowd. He had a flamethrower yelling "Free Palestine," said he wanted to kill all Zionist people. He killed one woman. He injured a dozen more. Here was the reaction from Millet Quiros, who won last night.
That firebombing attack in Boulder on the group of peaceful protesters there that were protesting in support of the Jewish hostages being held by Hamas, was that firebombing attack on them an act of anti-Semitism?
I don't know what was in the heart of the perpetrator. All I know is that he went and attacked innocent people.
But you would not describe it as anti-Semitism?
I don't know. I don't know what his intentions were.
I mean, and again, this is her, Jimmy, on her best behavior, trying to CYA what she really believes.
Yeah, without a doubt. Good to be with you guys. When I hear Millet Quiros speak with Kyle Clark there in that TV interview, you can hear the vitriol in her voice that's just being subdued. The fact of the matter is that there's no other way to slice it. This firebombing on a group of Jews simply advocating for the release of hostages held by Hamas was unequivocally anti-Semitism. An 82-year-old woman died as a result of that attack. This was not something small. When you talk about her justifying, in essence, terrorism, acts of terror against Israel, the most devastating, brutal attack against Jews since the Holocaust on October 7th, essentially saying they had it coming, it is utterly disgraceful. But what's even worse, Rob, is the fact that the Democrats in Colorado not only are sending this woman to Congress, but they have hardly said a peep about her racist anti-Semitism, and to the extent that they have, it has been astonishingly soft. And that just goes to show the state of affairs now. They're scared to speak out.
Rob, it's no different than the guy with the Nazi tattoo, and Democrats are all there campaigning and advocating for the guy. They're like, no, there's a Nazi tattoo, SS tattoo. Hey, we love this guy. You should vote for him. We support him. I also want to say one other thing. Can we please get down to the facts here about these candidates? Follow the money, Rob. Where is the funding coming from for these radical extremist, anti-American, anti-Israel candidates? They are being funded by the same people nationwide. This is not organic. These candidates aren't just randomly popping up. They're being sought out. They're being funded by the radical left. It's the same people doing it all over the country.
That's exactly
and people need to start paying attention to that as well.
It's really scary. And who would have thought that there'd be, I mean, these are, they're frankly Nazis in a lot of ways. I mean, there's just this visceral hatred for the Jews just coming from the far left is surreal to watch, and watching the party just kind of not really want to talk about it after all the nonsense about Hitler and Nazis they've talked about Trump these last 10 years. Got to leave it there, guys. Ben Ferguson, Jimmy Sengenberger, good to see you guys. Thanks.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, I want to get back to this Supreme Court ruling from yesterday. Birthright citizenship, a 5-4 vote, allowing this to continue as birthright has become one of the most abused constitutional amendments over the last few decades. We now have maternity hotels in the United States used largely by pregnant women from China. There's entire houses filled with these women. They fly in from all over the world routinely to overstay a visa and birth anchor babies in our country, and somehow the Supreme Court sees no issue with this whatsoever. 9% of American babies born are born from non-citizen mothers. 9% of our babies are anchor babies. That's 350,000 every single year. Justice Alito in the dissent calling out the national security concerns of allowing this to continue, but speaking also to the pressure that some of the Supreme Court is likely feeling regarding the 14th Amendment, saying the original meaning of it does not require inhumane results. We should not adopt an erroneous interpretation of the 14th Amendment simply out of fear of the consequences of rocking the boat or as a reaction to current immigration policy. And Senator Eric Schmitt wanted to talk about this tonight, and we said, let's do it. So, sir, this ruling, I think, was really bad. I think it's very regretful for the court. And again, it seems so obvious as the president has said so many times, this was a 14th Amendment, came right after the 13th that freed the slaves. This was clearly written for the children of slaves. They had no idea that 160 years later that birth tourism would be a problem in this country.
Yeah, and Justice Alito points out the national security risk. I mean, you literally have right now an industry propped up, this birth tourism, where CCP generals in China are sending their wives or girlfriends to come to the United States to give birth, stay for a couple weeks, then go back to communist China, presumably, for 18 years to be indoctrinated. And they have at this point now, can come back here on their 18th birthday, contribute, vote, maybe even run for office. I mean, it's a total disaster, Rob, and it's a vast departure from how any serious country views citizenship. And I think it's a sacred bond that unites us together. And when it's cheapened like this, It really is a tragic decision.
It's cheapened, and it's cheapened for a reason, because there's so many different forces that are trying to untether this country in any way they can, to marginalize what it means to be an American, to marginalize our culture, our founding, all the things that are so dear to us. And as we've talked about, there's no other first world Western nation that does this. Go through all of Europe, which is, by the way, far more liberal than the United States. No European nation allows you to just pop into their country, pop out a kid, and then that child is a citizen of the country, and then you can use what we have here, which is chain migration, to start bringing the entire family over. It's utterly outrageous. And I really do think that there is some political element to this. I do think that the court is terrified that they're viewed as over-conservative. I think they're terrified of it being packed. And I think these justices, on occasion, with a big ruling, say, let's throw one the other way to appease the left so that their court doesn't get watered down and packed.
Well, I mean, look, outside of just the practical impact that you've laid out, I mean, just the words alone here, when the 14th Amendment was drafted, along with the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which, as you rightly pointed out, was really meant for the children of slaves. So we fought a civil war, then, of course, the slaves were freed, and they wanted to make sure that the slaves' kids who were subject to the jurisdiction thereof the United States would be made free, that they were full citizens of the United States of America. They never intended this. In fact, a lot of in the 1866 Act, they talked about not subject to a foreign power, right? So all this was read together. Nobody, including Senator Howard, the drafter of it, never believed this would happen. And so it really is a departure, I think, from the plain meaning of, at the time, how that was understood. But maybe there was political pressure here. I don't really know, but it was a terrible decision. It's going to have disastrous consequences for generations to come, unless there's a temporary action, Rob, the president can take by way of executive order. There's a statutory fix that Kavanaugh opened the door for. We should walk through, or of course a constitutional amendment to seal it.
Constitutional amendment to seal it, which, good luck. Let's show MS Now the reaction to this. Quite interesting from the liberal media. Take a listen.
So you would have hospital systems immediately be paralyzed at the very delivery room and be unable to provide basic medical care because you would be verifying people's citizenship. You would have an increase in ICE enforcement in communities initially because the ICE would have to create policies to apprehend and detain more infants. And so you'd see more family separation, and you're taking away demand in our economy. It is an affordability fight. I hope more leaders realize immigration is an economic cost of living issue.
It's funny to listen to them lay that out. It's also just wild to listen to the potential complications, because we live in a country that just has tens of millions of illegal aliens, as if that's a normal thing.
I don't know who that person was, but she has no idea what she's talking about. The inflationary cost there is an affordability cost with all the immigration that we've seen, 15 to 20 million people that have flooded into this country with higher rents and higher home prices. And she mentioned the ER, people flooding the ER, and taxpayers have to pay for the health care of illegal immigrants. This is why President Trump, from the very beginning of coming down the escalator, has made this issue front and center in his campaign, has won 2 presidential elections over it. These people are nuts.
Yeah. You want to know why a starter house costs $400,000 in this country now? It used to be $150,000, because all of the bottom of our real estate market is full of illegal aliens. And as soon as we get them out, you want to take pressure off of that upward pressure is tremendous. People, as you said, you want to talk about inflation and all these issues, get the 20 million illegals out of the country. Watch how fast that eases. Senator Schmitt, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Take care, Rob.
It's the 4th time in this committee that we've had a hearing on sanctuary cities. There's many other things that we could be doing.
Imagine saying that to a mother who lost her child thanks to your own policies. Coming up, Congressman Tom McClintock led that sanctuary city hearing, and he joins us next. And then later in News from the Left, a massive payout to the despicable professor on the left.
O'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Tonight's Newsmax lineup is brought to you by Crown Atlantic. Protect what matters most with fast, affordable life insurance. Visit lifeforless.com.
As a kid, I was desperate for the $300 pairs of sunglasses that I saw all the athletes in my life wear. But it was just not realistic for me to spend that kind of money on sunglasses, something that I would probably lose or break. And that was the genesis for starting Shady Rays, high-quality polarized performance sunglasses with lost and broken protection. If you'd like to try a pair completely risk-free, see why millions have switched to Shady Rays at shadyrays.com and shop our full collection.
For years, I was hiding my drinking. I'm the type of drinker that I don't just have one. I didn't want to feel that urge anymore. That's what brought me to Oar Health. I'm a better dad. I'm a better husband. I just have a more grounded and present life, thanks to Oar Health.
Text Newsmax to 710-710 to learn more.
You're told to optimize, to hack. There's always a promise of a better you. But what if you were never meant to be fixed? Your biology knows how to thrive. It just needs a reminder. Armor Colostrum reawakens that brilliance. 400 nutrients, 4 seconds, 1 daily revival. This time, remember what you're made of.
Unfortunately, this hearing is, it's the fourth time in this committee that we've had a hearing on sanctuary cities, the fourth time. And there's many other things that we could be doing other than this.
All right, Pramila Jayapal there, essentially slandering age-old parents to their faces, parents that have lost their kids to the policies that she and other lunatic politicians like her have created. This was the hearing on sanctuary cities from yesterday. They've made the calculated decision, the Democrat Party, to fight for illegal aliens and the rights of people that are here illegally over the rights and safety of American citizens. And then when people rightfully complain about it, this is how they talk to them. She's just an awful person. We've known that for a while. One of the parents that she's talking to in this moment is Jessica Gorman, who's the mother of Sheridan Gorman. She was a freshman at Loyola University, Chicago, was fatally shot, a random attack by an illegal alien named Jose Medina. She was out at night with her friends. They were trying to see the Northern Lights. Could you be more innocent and murdered for nothing than out trying to see the Northern Lights at night? Medina firing one shot into the back of Sheridan Gorman's head as she ran away from him. Jessica Gorman, in her emotional testimony, blasting Jayapal's comments right back to her face.
This is why I'm sorry. I get so upset when with your butts, and you don't want to talk about this. This is the fourth hearing. I'm actually thankful that my daughter wasn't raped. How messed up is that? That I'm thankful every day that she was just murdered, not raped and dismembered. Like, think about that. Having people make excuses and buts. I'm sorry. This is unacceptable. There are so many angel families out here.
Yeah, you notice how it never seems to happen to the people that give us these policies. Their kids are always okay. Why is it that way? Congressman Tom McClintock held yesterday's hearing, joins us now. Sir, it's good to have you here. Your reaction to what you saw and the behavior from your colleague, Jayapal.
Well, shocked and appalled, but I can't say particularly surprised. You remember during the President's State of the Union address, he asked the Democrats if they'd stand to support the proposition that the first responsibility of our federal government was to protect American citizens over illegal aliens, and not one of them stood up. In the case of Sheridan's murder, the murderer had been arrested for shoplifting, But rather than turning them over to ICE to be deported, as the law requires, Chicago's sanctuary laws released him back into the community. That's why he was there and able to murder Sheridan in such a cold-blooded way. We had probably 10 other Angel families in the audience, all of them in tears, all of them with pictures of their loved ones that they were holding up. And the Democrats, to their faces, said they had better things to do with their time than address the issue. They said that in the hearing, that they had better things to do.
Yeah, well, it's all about power. We know that. Democrats don't actually care about illegal aliens. They want them here because there's a play to get them voting at some point. And when they're all voting, or at least more of them and all of them are voting, they know they'll have a tremendous amount of power from the millions and millions of people that they've dumped into this country and then moved around strategically into various states so that they can gain that power. So at the end of the day, if a young woman is shot and killed while looking at the Northern Lights, they couldn't care less about that. Their power is so much more important than any of our lives.
Well, a few weeks ago, we heard from the mother of Stephanie Minner. She was murdered by an illegal alien who had dozens of prior arrests. Yeah. Each time, she was returned back into the community by Fairfax County officers rather than to turn them over to ICE for deportation. Their excuse was this. They've got an $83 million annual budget for the county sheriff. But their excuse was they didn't have the resources to pick up the phone and inform ICE that they had custody of an illegal alien so that alien could be deported. Yeah. And when I asked them how much it would cost to make a simple phone call to ICE and whether Stephanie Minner's life was worth the cost of that phone call, I got no response.
Congressman, the DOJ just announcing today charges against 8 alleged Tren de Aragua gang members that were let in under Joe Biden. I just want to play one horrific story involving an innocent family in Dallas, Texas. Take a listen.
A man and 2 kids had their hands zip-tied and were kidnapped by TDA members who demanded that they pay them money. Once the TDA members realized the man could not pay them any money, they pulled over by a bridge in Dallas and told the man to jump off. When he refused to do so and attempted to flee, a TDA member gunned him down, execution style, in front of the 2 children.
That's what we've let into the country, sir.
Yeah, quite deliberately. This was not by accident. This was not by incompetence. This was a deliberate plan by the Democrats to open our borders and then to establish sanctuary laws that shield criminal illegal aliens from deportation when they're already in custody for other crimes. Last year, these sanctuary jurisdictions refused to honor at least 17,864 ICE detainee requests. Right. Those are all criminal illegal aliens accused of committing other crimes that the Democrats let back into our communities rather than turn them over to ICE for deportation. America needs to wake up pretty fast because if these people are ever returned to power, we're going to see these policies resume. And the price we're paying is already absolutely catastrophic.
You wonder how these elections are even close when you hear some of these details about how they run the country. Congressman, we appreciate you coming on. Tom McClintock, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, California Congressman Ro Khanna wanted to be the face of the fight against billionaires. That was an absolutely epic mistake. More details of Khanna's outrageous lifestyle, including the houses that he owns, coming to light as his presidential ambitions are likely finished.
Think you need a new roof? Think again. Most roofing companies only make money one way, by selling you a new roof. But what if your roof isn't worn out, just dried out? And with just a little love, you could put off an expensive roof replacement for up to 15 years, at a fraction of the cost of a new roof. Roofmax is a scientifically engineered restoration formula that brings your shingle life back to new. Scan the code and get a free roof tune-up with your Roofmax restoration.
Hey, I'm Mike Hammond with Cigna Relief. 250 years ago, a group of ordinary people made an extraordinary decision, and they never looked back. At Signal Relief, we call this Freedom Week. We're proud to be American, and we build our technology right here in the USA. And we're committed to protecting your freedom to move, to stand a little longer, to take the walk, to make the trip, and enjoy the day with your family. That's why I'm proud to introduce Signal Core, our new back and lumbar support system built specifically for everyday backaches. Signal Core combines a comfortable compression wrap with 2 times the Signal Relief technology of our original patch. It's targeted drug-free relief you can wear through the day, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. Order Signal Core today, and we'll include our best-selling Signal Relief patch absolutely free. Visit signalrelief.com and order your Signal Core.
The Dutton Ranch. We're back in business.
You heard right. Let's go to work. I'm glad you're making friends, honey.
You're every bit as advertised.
You're damn right he is.
Fighting the good fight, buddy.
You know, when I came in here, I was at a 15, and that's no joke. My spinal cord was almost severed. I feel like I'm gaining my freedom. My pain level of the day is nothing.
No pain now? No. Okay, feels good? Yep.
And I can feel my legs waking up and getting feeling back in my leg and my foot I haven't had in 1.5 years, 2 years. I feel like I'm getting my life back.
Venati succeeds where others fail.
I've been in the fitness industry for more than 25 years, and Fatty 15 is a built-in recovery system for your cells. You can't have a healthy outside if you're not taking care of the inside. Try Fatty 15.
You don't wait for a fire to buy a fire extinguisher, so why wait for Chogi Emergency to get a light back? Chogi Emergencies can happen to anyone, anywhere. In fact, it's the first and only FDA-authorized anti-choking device in the country, designed for simplicity in an emergency. Just place, push, and pull. Peace of mind starts before the emergency. Be prepared when it matters most.
Go to lifevac.net or call 877-543-3822.
Welcome back. Congressman Ro Khanna wanted to be the face of anti-oligarchy as he kind of warmed up to maybe running for president. And it ended up being a terrible mistake. A new piece from the Washington Free Beacon detailing even more of Khanna's outrageous wealth and extravagance, which is so hypocritical when you think about what he says every day. Khanna evidently lives in a $6 million, 8,000 square foot luxury home with a 4-story elevator and so much premium marble, according to the piece from the Beacon, that even the two laundry rooms, both have solid marble counters. Not bad. The Northwest Washington, D.C. home that he lives in is now for sale. Khanna's family is preparing to move to an even larger, more expensive house just a little bit down the road in the Northern Virginia suburbs. His 2 children, who are both little kids, have large ownership shares in 3 private golf clubs, a significant stake in a $65 billion wealth management firm, and investments in hedge funds that focus on distressed debt, which is something that Khanna and all Democrats have been hypercritical of. Khanna's wife, rich wife, he married rich. That's why he's successful, not because of him. Drives a $190,000 Range Rover, and she was so ticked off when she got it that she actually sued the dealership where she bought it. Lovely people. Katie Zacharia, Senior Communications Advisor to Truth Social, joins us now to talk about this. You're a California girl. This is one of your congressmen from your state. He decided to be the guy, I'm going to go after Elon, I'm going to go after all these oligarchs, I'm going to go after all these billionaires. This guy lives like a prince. Did he not think somebody was going to say this, to report on this?
This is also the author and perpetrator of the billionaire tax, the wealth tax, that is starting to drive out all of the billionaires. And now Gavin Newsom is having to backpedal and say, yeah, I support this because actually we're going to be in $20 billion of debt when I exit office. So yes, Ro Khanna is the classical communist in disguise of like equality for thee, but not for me.
Well, he's worth $250 million now because he's been so good at insider trading. So but over $1 billion is too much, right? $250 million is fine now, right?
Yeah, and if it's Elon, he absolutely can't get any money because he's worked hard from it from the beginning. This guy inherited what capitalism built, right? He married his wife, whose dad was able to become rich because of capitalism. And now he wants to become a socialist empire, communist empire?
Sure.
Right.
Why not? Because it's going to keep him in power, and it makes him fashionable to the party if he wants to run for president. But yeah, you take a rich wife and then you take her money. I know what all the stocks that are going to go up. I'm going to invest, and then our pile of money is going to expand rapidly, as it always does for these types of members of Congress. I love that story because it just shows the naivety of this man to not understand that if you have this kind of wealth, and they're just explosively rich and extravagant with their money, and you're going to be the one that's going to go after the oligarchy. Yes. Foolish. Got to get to one more with you before I let you go. Status reporting that CNN's chief legal affairs correspondent, you recognize this woman, Paula Reed, is leaving CNN now that Paramount has bought out Warner's, which owns CNN, rather than stay and work for Barry Weiss. So was supposed to be a journalist, just like Jim Acosta, they said, was a journalist. They said she was a legal affairs correspondent, an unbiased reporter. She's leaving for, I guess, journalistic integrity reasons because she can't work for Barry Weiss because that's what skewed right. Guess where she's going?
MS Now.
MS Now. So I can't work for Barry Weiss because that's too political, but I can go to this garbage can that used to be MSNBC because why? Well, she just showed us her politics. I mean, these people don't understand the optics. Why would you tell everyone I'm leaving CNN for this reason and then immediately say I'm going to go to the most radical left-wing network possible?
Gavin Newsom was just on his podcast trashing conservative media. It's this ecosystem and you're not part of it and we shouldn't have this conservative media. And here she is leaving an organization because she wants to be unbiased, headed to MS Now, the worst network, right, Rob? Yeah. This is prime example of the liberal hypocrisy in the media and also in politics.
And also their inability to understand just how distorted their political views are. She probably thinks she's down the middle. She probably thinks MS Now is down the middle. And she thinks everything else is crazy. And the truth is, they're trying to pull CNN back to a network that somebody with journalistic integrity could actually work for, is what they're trying to do. I mean, it's Barry Weiss. She was working for the New York Times.
They want to bring viewership up.
This is not a right-wing woman at all, by any stretch of the imagination. Katie, good to see you. Thanks for coming to the set. Welcome to New York. All right, an exclusive from the legendary Lee Greenwood coming up next. A new rendition of God Bless the USA. Stay tuned.
Stop. Check this out. Our most advanced performance frame, Talon, is out. It's a bestseller. We just got it back in stock, and I want to show you a little bit about it. These come with our signature lost and broken protection, and you can try them risk-free for 30 days. Check them out at shadyrays.com.
Hello, everyone. It's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this Red Beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it represents. It's really going to be something special. It's for your favorite president. Get your watch today at gettrumpwatches.com. These make a great gift. It's Trump time.
Doctors say having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care and pharmacy at home. Let me bring in Dr. McCullough to explain more.
Most people know when they're getting sick, but waiting to see a doctor is often too late.
So the key is having medicines before you need them.
Yes, and it includes doctor-prescribed medicines to treat common and serious issues like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, antibiotics, antivirals for flu, pneumonia, strep, ear and sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
So it is like having an urgent care at home.
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications and hospitalizations.
How do you know what to take?
Just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Great advice. I understand ordering is fast online, and we've put the website and $45 off code on the screen. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
I still love to surf, snowboard, and of course skate, so I take Cunol Magnesium to support my muscle and bone health. Cunol's high absorption magnesium glycinate helps me get the full benefits of magnesium. Cunol, the brand I trust.
It was supposed to be the perfect gateway. Instead, it became an open door for cyber criminals. But that threat stops right here. Built by Americans for America. Citizenship defends our homes, our businesses, and our government. Don't let them compromise your identity. Get our all-in-one solution today. Visit PCmatic.com.
Ever worry that you're drinking too much? Take back control with Or Health. Or Health provides access to medication proven to help. A daily pill to drink less, or to quit drinking altogether. Text Newsmax to 710-710 to learn more.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services. If you or a loved one has mesothelioma or any other asbestos-related cancer, call now. Asbestos manufacturers sold deadly asbestos materials to thousands of companies, putting workers at risk. An estimated $30 billion in court-ordered trusts have been set aside to pay out claims to asbestos victims. You may be entitled to a portion of these funds and receive compensation without filing a lawsuit or ever going to court. For your free legal consultation, call 1-800-306-1979. That's 1-800-306-1979.
Welcome back. America 250 celebrations in full swing as we approach the 4th of July and the 250th anniversary of this great nation. The president today showing off his new Air Force One jet, a gift from Qatar, taking it on its first flight to North Dakota for a tour and a speech at the Teddy Roosevelt Presidential Library, paying tribute to Roosevelt's legacy. Roosevelt was the president during America's 125th birthday. So now we're at 250. Roosevelt was there for 125. The president actually, this is really cool, chatting with an AI version of Teddy Roosevelt today. Take a look.
Visit of the Panama Canal, your greatest achievement?
The canal stands as one of my proudest battles, no question. But greatness is a strange thing. It isn't always the biggest or boldest job that matters most. The Panama Canal showed what America could achieve if we held steady and acted fast when the world dragged its feet.
Isn't that crazy how they do that? It's really cool. President also honoring America's greatness during his speech in front of supporters and library donors to this new library as well. Take a listen.
As we enter the 250th year, Americans must never forget we are a historic and heroic people with a heroic spirit and a heroic purpose. American courage won our independence. It liberated millions and millions from slavery, rescued billions from tyranny, and sustained American liberty for 2.5 centuries, and we're not going to lose it to this group of losers. Without courage, there is no America today.
There you go, right there. And tonight, Lee Greenwood has a new video celebrating America 250 with country singer Drew Jacobs recreating his hit song, God Bless the USA. We're going to play it out for you. Take a listen.
If tomorrow the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, and thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up
Yeah, pretty good there, right? A little patriotism for you on this July 4th week. All right, coming up here after the break, why Ilhan Omar had to disable comments on this posted video.
It's the end of a long day, but your mind's still racing. Meet Super Calm from Nello. PhD formulated with ashwagandha, L-theanine, magnesium glycinate, and vitamin D3 to help support relaxation and healthy cortisol levels. Super Calm from Nello.
Summer is coming fast. Now you can get your best summer body in just one visit to Sono Bello, America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist.
This summer, I'm excited to not be covered up.
I've got abs again. Sono Bello put me in the right spot to just feel good again.
I feel beautiful. I went from this to this in just one visit.
I feel confident.
Micro laser technology permanently removes stubborn fat, tightens and tones skin in just one visit with less downtime.
My shirts were extra large. Now I'm wearing a bathing suit. It changed my life.
There's no more frustration, just permanent results.
My stomach is gone.
Sono Bello has over 50,000 5-star reviews and expert surgeons. Call now for your personalized consultation. That's over a $250 value. Free. Easy monthly payment options make your best body more affordable than ever. Step into summer with confidence. Call Sono Bello today.
People always ask me how I stay ready, how I stay consistent, how I lock in when it actually counts. Again and again. It's the work you do before anyone's watching. They think I must be on something. Maybe. It's pure, it's potent. It's all me. Something that never lets me down. Armra. I'm on it.
You know the Founding Fathers. But do you know your founding family? Learn how their stories became yours. Get started today before our sale ends.
You're careful about what you bring home when shopping, especially when it comes to feeding your family. Shouldn't your investments work the same way? At Timothy Plan, we offer a wide selection of mutual funds and ETFs that can help you allocate assets without compromising your values. From technology to healthcare, energy to real estate, our funds are not only diverse but uncompromising to your values. Timothy Plan funds are filtered to avoid companies involved in abortion, pornography, human trafficking, and other harmful agendas. What you invest in should reflect what you stand for. Are your investments bearing good fruit? What's in your portfolio? Contact your financial advisor today to find out, or contact Timothy Plan directly at 1-800-TIM-PLAN to discover more. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Welcome back. Time now for news from the left. The queen of the Somali fraudsters, Ilhan Omar, celebrating Somali Independence Day, which, of course, in Minnesota, you know they'd make a huge deal out of, probably more so than they will our own Independence Day. Posting this video on X of all the dancing and nonsense. Always a joy to celebrate Somali Independence Day. On Lake Street, Ilhan says, contrary to right-wing trolls, Somalis are helping Minnesota thrive. After everything we've learned over the last few months, the comments on that post she had to disable to protect that hysterical lie. Minneapolis's mayor, of course, also perpetuating the same lunacy after everything we've learned. Take a listen.
I mean, the Somali people are part of Minneapolis, and whether they grew up in Hargeisa or Mogadishu, Kismayo or Bosaso, whether they're from Getaway or Galmudug, you know, this is always one of my favorite events of the whole year. Somali people have been extraordinary entrepreneurs. They're elected officials. They have contributed so greatly to the Minneapolis community over now decades.
There's no worse panderer alive than Jacob Fry. And good job memorizing the names of 4 big cities in Somalia. We're all really impressed that you sat there and Mogadishu, We're so impressed. By the way, 81% of Somalians are consuming some sort of welfare in this country, so their big contribution is taking our money. Next up, an atrocious University of Tennessee professor receiving a $1.9 million settlement after accusing the school of violating her constitutional rights when she was disciplined for social media posts where she criticized Charlie Kirk after he was shot and killed because she's an awful person. Former Professor Tamar Shrinian was put on administrative leave back in February after a post saying the world is better off without him in it. His kids are better off living in a world without a disgusting psychopath like him, and his wife, well, she's a sick F word for marrying him, so I don't care about her feelings. She sued the university and got $1.9 million, but it ain't gonna fix that face. Next up, ABC's Good Morning America very concerned over the hatred being hurled toward Alyssa Thomas of the WNBA's Phoenix Mercury after it looked like she kind of choked Caitlin Clark on the floor of that game that we've all seen. Take a look.
Thomas, who is a six-time All-Star for the Mercury, says she has received death threats after she appeared to push her fist into Clark's throat in a recent game.
She's sick and tired of the league not doing more to protect its players off the court.
People want more from the commissioner. I mean, she's getting a lot of heat, and sometimes people say justifyingly so.
You know, it's interesting because as we show you the moment here that she fell, and then, I mean, this young woman is getting attacked nonstop because she's white and straight and is dominating the WNBA. And all of these other women hate her for all of that. ABC doesn't care at all about the nonstop violence toward Caitlin Clark. But the moment that somebody that hurts her is attacked, now they're worried, now they're concerned, which, by the way, perfectly tracks. And finally, here in New York, a pair of daredevils dressed in black, Russian daredevils, scaling our Empire State Building, going all the way up the spire, the antenna. Here in New York, it was like 100 degrees today, too. It's not an easy mission. More than 1,400 feet high, unveiling a totally meaningless message about peace or something, because they didn't care about the message. They just wanted the attention. Man and woman wearing a cat mask have been identified as Ivan Birkus and Angelina Nicolau. They got a lot of followers on Instagram. They're going to have more now. The banner read, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace." Okay, cool. Thanks. After hanging around a bit, they started making their way down, and then they stopped again, and the guy proposed to the girl. I assume she said yes. Got the ring. When it was all said and done, the couple taken into custody. Nobody got hurt. But that's what it was like here in New York today. It's hot. It's really hot. Glad they didn't have slippery hands. The visceral fury when communists find a closeted conservative. Up next.
When you're in the news business, it never stops. News is always breaking, and it's my job to get you the news, no spin, no BS. If you don't believe us, just watch us.
Watch Finity, weeknights, only on Newsmax.
Attention! Do you owe money to the IRS? If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this message because new Trump-era tax policy changes are providing relief to the American taxpayer. IRS policy changes in 2025 and 2026 have created new ways to resolve debt. Tax Relief Helpers knows exactly how to navigate them and could help you save thousands. Just call 800-357-9528 to protect your assets, home, and retirement.
I owed $87,000 in taxes. Tax Relief Helpers got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
I got behind on my taxes and I owed $48,000. I called, and after they told me about the changes at the IRS, they got my bill fully removed.
We save Americans millions of dollars in tax debt every year, and we can help you. Call right now to take advantage of the latest Trump-era tax deductions to protect your assets, home, and retirement from the IRS. The call and consults are absolutely free. Call 800-357-9528. That's 800-357-9528. Attention! Do you owe money to the IRS? If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this message because new Trump-era tax policy changes are providing relief to the American taxpayer. IRS policy changes in 2025 and 2026 have created new ways to resolve debt. Tax Relief Helpers knows exactly how to navigate them and could help you save thousands. Just call 800-357-9528 to protect your assets, home, and retirement.
I owed $87,000 in taxes. Tax Relief Helpers got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
I got behind on my taxes and I owed $48,000. I called, and after they told me about the changes at the IRS, they got my bill fully removed.
We save Americans millions of dollars in tax debt every year, and we can help you. Call right now to take advantage of the latest Trump-era tax deductions to protect your assets, home, and retirement from the IRS. The call and consults are absolutely free. Call 800-357-9528. That's 800-357-9528.
Hey, I'm Mike Hammond with Cigna Relief. 250 years ago, a group of ordinary people made an extraordinary decision, and they never looked back. At Signal Relief, we call this Freedom Week. We're proud to be American, and we build our technology right here in the USA. And we're committed to protecting your freedom to move, to stand a little longer, to take the walk, to make the trip, and enjoy the day with your family. That's why I'm proud to introduce Signal Core, our new back and lumbar support system built specifically for everyday backaches. Signal Core combines a comfortable compression wrap with 2 times the Signal Relief technology of our original patch. It's targeted drug-free relief you can wear through the day, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. Order Signal Core today, and we'll include our best-selling Signal Relief patch absolutely free. Visit signalrelief.com and order your Signal Core.
When Conor McGregor fights, you're witnessing something once in a lifetime.
Surprise, surprise, the king is back!
All my life I want money and power.
Oh! Conor McGregor transcended the sport!
Max Holloway!
That's a real warrior! I'm right here! You're in for a treat!
McGregor versus Holloway, Saturday, July 11. Free with your subscription, only on Paramount Plus.
And finally tonight, Hollywood lashing out at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson after he re-emphasized his stance to keep personal politics out of the public eye. There's my teleprompter. Welcome back. The Rock telling Esquire earlier this month, "I've learned I'm going to keep my politics to myself," saying politics is omnipresent and it's forever. I don't like it. I hate it at all times. I hate the slinging. I hate all the BS that comes with it. Good on him, right? Well, George Takei, the little communist former actor that hasn't been in anything in 50 years, is saying silence is complicity, very angry about The Rock's position. Actor Will Wheaton, also very unimpressive of late, calling out Johnson in a deleted tweet saying, "So disappointed to find out he is such a coward." Wheaton, everybody's disappointed in you. The Rock comes from a family of wrestlers, though. From his father and grandfather, we know how wrestlers tend to vote, and it was a wrestler himself. The president also said that The Rock called him after his assassination attempt in Butler when he was shot in the ear. Said The Rock considered what he did sort of incredible and said that he considered it bravery. I think everybody probably kind of knows at this point which way The Rock votes. The visceral fury from these communists, Rob Finnerty, when they find a closeted conservative amongst themselves. I mean, they probably want to burn him at the cross.
Including Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton. 1986, Stand By Me. That's the last time he did something, and he was like 11 years old. And now all of a sudden we're hearing from Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
Good for The Rock. Although he does have a movie coming out in 9 days, so I kind of think that might have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't Republicans buy sneakers?
Don't tell me you were a pro wrestler and you're voting for Kamala Harris.
No,
Get
but I
outta
can
here.
smell what The Rock's
break.
cooking. All right.
The
Good to
Rock's
see you.
cooking. Good to see
Finnerty,
you.
right now. Let's go.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.